Today we are going to discuss creating safe and sacred space. Now, in a trauma-informed yoga class, we are always trying to make sure that our students feel safe and secure. In order to really lean into a somatic practice such as yoga, you need the ability to feel grounded. So how do we do that? That is the main question here. Now, first and foremost, it's most important to identify who you are. You want to make sure that your students have a general sensibility of what to expect by taking a class with you. As their guide, it is your position of leadership to secure their concerns, whatever they may be. So that means offering yourself before class, after class, being able to answer questions, being able to allow your students to feel like they're getting to know you. That's going to give them the opportunity to feel even more comfortable over time, leaning more into their personal practice. The main difference between creating a safe and sacred space for a trauma-informed situation versus not is that we are going out of our way with great intention to make sure that everybody understands why they're there. Now, just teaching yoga in general should lend itself to most of these practices. So you're probably already doing a bulk of this. However, the key word in a trauma-informed setting is intention, right? So how do you do that? Well, part of it is just understanding what it is that you are personally even doing. What is your plan? Do you have a particular way that you wish to go about guiding your students through their practice? Now, this doesn't have to mean that you need to understand exactly what it is you're going to do, but what I like to do with my students is possibly get some feedback from them in a very comfortable, kind, and gentle way, maybe just asking them how they're feeling today. You know, are they bringing any elements to the mat with them? Are they bringing anything emotionally that they can identify? Just kind of getting them into a place where they understand who they are at the beginning of their own practice, right? And that's really important. Not so much that we go into these deep, dark discussions about it, whether you're one-on-one or in a group setting, but rather just making sure that you have a general consensus that they feel like they're participating and that they're being seen and heard. Now, a trauma-informed setting can be anything, right? It can be teaching specifically to a group of people, eating disorders, cancer survivors, sexual abuse survivors, addictions. The list can go on. You could be teaching in a particular facility, like a hospital, or you could be teaching in your regular studio. Now, as a trauma-informed yoga teacher now, you are going to always approach your guidance of a yoga practice, a yoga class, with the intention that it's going to be a sacred, safe space anyway, right? Now, we all know about, your students are going to feel less safe if their back is up against the exit. They need the permission to be able to come and go, leave early, that sort of thing. Go to the restroom if they need to. Sometimes people haven't had any autonomy in their life in a real way, right? So they're always looking to someone else to guide them. So it's always recommended that we give them the options and opportunity, and we teach in such a way where we're not kind of giving off the vibe that we disapprove of them being human, being an adult, right? Or just being autonomous if you're teaching to adolescents or children even. So with all of that said, that is a part of being a yoga teacher anyway, in my estimation. So creating a safe and sacred space in a trauma-informed way is going to be all about connecting with the other, observing the other, making sure that they understand what to expect, lending yourself to them by knowing what it is that you want to be doing. So announcing what's coming next. Maybe knowing that, 3 asanas from now, we're going to be in warrior 3. So we're just leading ourselves up to that. The reason why we're in this certain pose is because we're going to open up our hips, or, we're going to take our hands overhead and we're looking for a deeper side body stretch. It's not only explaining things so that they understand the why and they're not just doing Simon Says, right? But it's also being able to give them a comfortable setting so that they can anticipate what's coming up. Even if you're not being super specific. I like to announce to my students, this is the last downward facing dog you're going to be doing of today's class. We're going to prepare ourselves to finish our practice, lying on our back. It's sort of guiding them into the notion that, okay, so I'm going to be on my back for the next 10 minutes, even though we're not there yet. And believe it or not, just placing that energy, placing that notation in the back of the mind, in the consciousness, does affect the nervous system, does calm us down, does allow us to focus on what's most important, which is being present, right? Focusing on the breath. So creating that safe and sacred space isn't necessarily about having this checklist, although great, right? Making sure the temperatures make sense, people feel comfortable, people know where you're at in the room, you're announcing if you're going to do an adjustment, you're asking permission always, you're giving permission for them to be autonomous, you're giving different options and variations and modifications throughout practice. You are making everything seem appropriate no matter which option they've personally chosen, including if they want to just go into child's pose, shavasana, not take shavasana. It's not about you as your big, awesome yoga sequence curator, right? And designer. It's not about that. It's about you knowing what your goal is, of course, but being really open and in particular being capable of giving all of the options needed for your students. So it's just being kind and aware and not disconnected from your class. So if you can manage to stay really activated in how you respond to others, what it is that you're hoping to display as a yoga teacher during that particular session, being mindful of what you're bringing to the practice yourself as the guidance, and also making sure that you are completely aware of your facial expressions, your body language, taking time to ask yourself the bigger questions of why. It's not about knowing the answer to those whys, it's about knowing the question. Because once we start developing the way to be able to think differently and to think outside of the box and to think from a lot of different perspectives, we will naturally, intuitively be able to help our students lean deeper into their own healing modalities, including yoga. So being a trauma-informed yoga teacher is really just simply being more present, more aware, more intentional, and cognizant of what your students may be experiencing at any particular time. Not treating them with, like they're delicate, fragile. It's quite the opposite. Rather, we want to activate that solar plexus, right? And engage our students in discovering who they are during this time that they get on the mat. So it's a really beautiful opportunity for you to be able to teach in a real way. And I really do think that being a trauma-informed specialist in the world of yoga and somatic practices is really a foundational baseline way of going about teaching. It opens up a whole new realm for you as a teacher, for your students. They feel good, they feel comfortable. They may not even know why, they just do. They are, for the first time in a lot of cases, feeling really present in their own body. So thank you for listening to this quick lesson on how to create sacred and safe space. If you have questions, do not hesitate to reach out to me. Go in peace. Namaste.